No! Neji died! Damn you, Kishimoto! Damn you! He was such an interesting character! Okay, maybe not that far, maybe like, I don't know, adequate. I could stand him. But he was so young! So much plot that he could be involved in! Why did you have to kill him off? I will build a shrine dedicated to you, Neji. It will be 60 feet tall, encrusted in 26-karat gold, because that exists. All the flowers in the world gather together at one solid point. The hell? Oh hey, new Bleach is out. I'm over it. You know what? You don't even have to say anything. I know. Okay. Anyway, hey everybody, Tekking101 here to review Bleach chapter number 521, entitled A Piggy Party. Oh, just like the old nursery rhyme, the three little pigs. Oh, those pigs got completely butchered and slaughtered by that wolf, blood gushing from his teeth as he ripped their flesh from their bones. What, were you told differently as a child? My parents were into horror movies. Okay, so we start off the chapter with Ichigo and Renji flying through the sky. Ichigo and Renji are kind of debating whether who should fall first and cushion the fall. This argument ends when Kon is discovered to be hiding in Ichigo's Shihakusho the entire time and becomes his monstrous muscle form, which, yes, I'm glad he can take that form on command, like he can just go into that form whenever he wants, because I'm still hedging my bets. Anybody want to bet on, you know, Kon just becoming that giant muscle form, grabbing a Stern Rider and just beating the ever-loving shit out of him? I'm taking odds. I'm saying 10 to 1. 10 to 1 odds, I'm taking that. So yeah, while also being badass, Kon also manages to be a good cushion to land on for Ichigo and Renji. But though that does beg the question, how exactly did Kirio expect them to land when they hit the next palace? I mean, there's no area, like safe area to fall in, okay? It's just like hard the wooden floors, I'm guessing, so... Okay guys, I just finished healing all your wounds, so go to the next palace and continue on to your journey. Oh! Oh god, there's a lot of blood. Okay, Jeez, I was not... Oh, jeez, we really need to get a better design up here in the Soul Palace. This was not intelligently designed at all. Oh, wow. Okay, fire up the hot springs again, guys. So after they arrive, though, they wonder exactly how Kon got with them, and Ichigo assumes that because they mentioned hot springs, Kon immediately jumped into Ichigo's Shihakusho, but after he saw that there was nothing but beefy guys in the hot spring, he kind of just played it low for a little bit. Though, I'm also kind of confused. I'm assuming Kon jumped into Ichigo's Shihakusho right after the transmission with Uehara ended. I'm guessing. I just thought that he was captured by the 12th Squad again, but you know, I'm not complaining at all, because everybody and his mother was complaining that we haven't seen Kon in forever, and now we're seeing him in again. So you really can't complain at this point about logic. I'm just happy he's in the chapter. And then they get struck by Kirio Hikefune, who is this palace called the Palace of the Lying Pig, or Sleeping Pig, the Gaton Palace. The title page, and then we cut over to Kirio cooking up some food. Meanwhile, Ichigo and Renji are dumbfounded as the massive portions that they can get in the Gaton Palace. Oh, by the way, one thing really quick, I don't know if this matters with everything, but last time I mentioned this, I think the translation I was reading said that Kirio Hikefune was the king of cereals, or the queen of cereals. It's actually a better translation is the queen of grains, or if you just want a general scope, the queen of foods, you know. So Korinji had the hot springs, Kirio is food. We find out what the rocker dude was in this chapter. Bon and Shutaro was weaving. So the only one we really don't know yet is Bon's, or Osho, exactly what his power is. But everyone else at the end of this chapter, we know what their specialty is anyway. Ichigo and Renji are obviously a little confused by all this, considering that they just went through a hot spring treatment and now they're going to go eat a massive meal. Kon is not as skeptical, of course, as he just jumps right in. So they eventually relent, and Kirio Hikefune tells them to eat as much as they can. Meanwhile, she was going to go prepare dessert. And I'm not kidding, guys. For the majority of this chapter, that's all they do, is eat. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, I'm not gonna give a play-by-play for everything action like, and Ichigo's eating the bacon, bring it on. Oh, and here comes Renji eating the soup. Eat that soup, Renji, slurp it up nice and good. Here comes Ichigo coming back with the bread. Oh dear God, there's so much bread. This has been Tekking101's commentary on Bleach Chapter 521. I hope you have a nice and safe Christmas and holiday season. Remember that Bleach is not going to be appearing next week because of the holiday season. Have a nice day. Tekking101 signing out. Okay, more stuff than that happens. I'm just screwing with you. Okay, anyway. He discovers that even the most disgusting food on the table, such as worms, is actually extremely delicious, like beyond compare. And honestly, I wanted to say, I'm like, okay, we have a chapter which is filled with nothing but our main characters eating. Kubo, you better not go here. That's the one thing I thought of when I was reading this chapter was when, if you don't read One Piece, that's the character called Usopp, and what happened was Usopp ended up in this forest where pretty much everything is edible, like there's ramen lakes and, you know, like candies, like on the, like basically like Willy Wonka pretty much, like there's candy on the trees and everything, and he just started eating like this massive quantity and he couldn't stop eating, and he eventually became like a morbidly obese guy, and there was one line in this chapter where Ichigo's just like, I just can't stop eating, it's so delicious. I'm like, you better not go here, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, Zangetsu's had to put up a lot of shit on Ichigo's part. He lost his powers, haven't heard from Ichigo in 17 months, got his powers back, got cut in half. I swear, if Ichigo became fat, I mean, Zangetsu would just be like, okay, you know what? I'm done, dude. I'm done. I don't hear from you for 17 months. When I do hear from you, you get me cut in half. And now you just lost, you know, screw it. You know, I've stopped caring, Ichigo. Bye. Bye, I'm leaving. Have fun saving the Soul Society with your bare hands. You know, though, in all seriousness, we really need to see what's going on with Zangetsu. I mean, we really do. I mean, it's been like, last time we saw Zangetsu was when he was fighting against Aizen. It wasn't even mentioned when he got his powers back. I don't even think he's been mentioned in the Soul context, like, even once. You know, like, I keep saying, like, all you had to do was just, like, when he gets his powers back, he could have just, like, looked down at his sword and just been like, hey, you there, old man? Or, you still with me, old man? Or something like that. You know, just a little nod that he's still around, but, you know, whatever, anyway. Ichigo stops eating for a second and actually looks a little bit guilty as to, well, they're basically off on having these wacky adventures, you know, having hot springs and eating all this food. Meanwhile, most, if not all of their friends are either in a coma, severely injured, or dead. So, yeah, I feel a little guilty, too. And Renji tells him that this is essentially normal because after you heal after a fight, you're obviously going to feel more hungry, and that's what they're fixing with here. Everything that they're doing, it has a point to it. And, you know, that's what I expected. And, like, you know, Kirinji's like, yay, let's take a bath in this hot spring. I knew that they're not just going to take a bath in the hot spring. I knew there had to be some underlying theme to it. And, of course, there was. And this makes perfect sense because, you know, Kirinji's hot springs kind of, like, sped up the healing process, sort of. But I would assume, like, any kind of, like, healing process like that where it, like, speeds it up, it would make you a lot of hungry because the body's not, you know, used to healing like that. Your body's used to making, you know, healing at a gradual pace. You know, you hurry up that process, it's going to have drastic effects later on. Hence the hunger, hence why Kirinji sent them to Kirio's palace next. Makes sense. So they both agree and they decide to have an eating contest and seeing who will eat more. Meanwhile, Kirio appears back in the room after she's done cooking the dessert. Oh, wow. Wow. Lost my train of thought there. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so, I kind of called this, I mean, not really, I didn't expressly say this, but, I did kind of assume that, judging by, Shinji's reaction to Kirio, and, how she was, like, mentioned back in the turn back the pendulum arc, I could have assumed that she did not look like that 100 years ago. And it was confirmed in this chapter that she really didn't. See, what happens is that she is like the god of cooking, essentially, in the Bleach universe, I guess. And when she has to cook all this food, she has to use a massive amount of Ryatsu to, you know, cook all this food. And that causes her to basically, I mean, if she wasn't, you know, if she didn't put on a lot of weight, she wouldn't be able to handle it. Her body wouldn't be able to handle it, and it probably would have some kind of adverse effects. I'm not sure if she would die or something, but it'd be more beneficial for her to gain as much weight as possible, cook all the food, lose the weight, then gain it back again, and that results in going back to her, I guess, her true form, or how she looked 100 years ago. Okay, so, yeah, Renji, Ichigo, and Kon are obviously dumbfounded by her new appearance. She states that they were actually right in the fact that they have to eat after they heal in order to restore their energy. However, it's a little bit more extravagant than that. Basically, because they're in a palace, they're in a kingdom, you know, everything involving, you know, a king is going to be huge and extravagant and much more like a whole different scale, and that's what the food portions are, you know, like when they I guess what she's trying to say basically is when they party in the Soul Palace, they party hardcore. Essentially, it's like, we don't have any of this. It's like, oh, look, a 12-piece shrimp platter. Screw that! We got a 2012 shrimp platter! You know, stuff like that. So, yeah, of course, this is not even getting close to phasing Ichigo, Renji, and Kon, because all their reaction is, who the hell are you, lady? And, you know, the thing that I don't get is, and I was actually a little bit disappointed by this, was that, Kon doesn't really go anywhere with this. I mean, he shows like the same little, you know, like pervy face he always does when he's, you know, he sees a pretty girl. But essentially, like, I thought they were gonna do more with it. You know, it's just like, he's like, oh, Kirio just made this drastic body change. You know, like just like that, and Kon's just like, you're pretty. You know, he didn't do anything like he normally does. Like, we've seen him flip shit when, you know, Orihime and Ruki are in the room. I was just a little confused by that. He doesn't really say anything in the chapter, really. He just kind of is just kind of there and just kind of fills up a panel, but, you know, whatever. After she explains that exactly how her body changed like that with the food cooking, she also explains the exact point of how she became a member of the Zero Squad. In fact, how everybody becomes a member of the Zero Squad is that you have to make some major invention or contribution to the Soul Society as a whole that the Soul King has to recognize as part of his story. So basically, they're historical figures, essentially. In Kirio's case, once she was a member of the squad of the 12th Division, the R&D, well, it wasn't really R&D, but she did develop something, so I guess maybe a precursor to R&D. She developed the Gikongon, or the Artificial Soul, or the Mod Soul, which, after reading that, I discovered, okay, that's the real reason why Kubo brought Kon back for this chapter specifically, is because Kirio is basically responsible for creating him, or at least setting up the basis for creating Kon. She goes into detail that the idea of an artificial soul or Gikongon or, you know, mod soul, all that stuff didn't even exist before her, and the fact that she actually infused that into her cooking, and she states that the Ryatsu in Ichigo and Renji should increase, you know, several-fold after eating her food, to which Ichigo and Renji definitely noticed the difference there. And you know what? This actually makes a lot of sense on a couple of levels here. For one thing, Uehara, who is the successor to Kirio in the 12th Division, Uehara was well known for creating different kinds of Gikongon and Gigai technology. I mean, he created the inflatable Gigai he used against Yami and Aizen. He created the Gigai that Rukia used when she was in the world of the living, the one that couldn't detect Ryatsu, the one that, you know, slowly turns you into a human. It would make sense why Uehara was such a pioneer with this stuff, because I guess he maybe knew, or like he knew Kirio before him, or Kirio was the previous captain of 12th Division. Maybe he found some of her notes lying around or something. So that makes sense right there. That also makes sense why, you know, why Kon's in this chapter, because, you know, well, maybe we're gonna have something. I don't know if next chapter, if maybe Kon's gonna stick around with Kirio. I mean, that would make sense for Kon, because, oh, you created me? Also, you just turned into a very thin... Okay, whatever, I'll stay, guys. You have fun with Crazy Rocker, Zero Squad member. I'm going to stay here and just chill out with this chick, you know? That seems like something Kon would probably do. And there's free food, so, yeah. Along with this, though I have one question, though. Like, for example, Kirio was maybe not an expert of cooking in the Soul Society, so maybe when she became the captain of, like, this, when she was a member of the Zero Division, did she just become this? Like, did the Soul King just bestow this title upon her? Like, you are now the God of Cooking! Oh, that's not something I really know how to... God of Cooking! Here's your spoon. Okay, whatever. You know, like same thing with Korinji. Like, was Korinji known as the Hot Spring Demon while in the Soul Society as a regular captain, or didn't he just become that when he became the Zero Squad member? I don't know. Like, are these titles they make themselves, or the titles that are bestowed upon them by the Soul King? That's the question. Yeah, but anyway, end of the chapter. Kirio states that their next palace is going to be something a little bit more dangerous. The next palace is called Ho, or the Phoenix Palace, and it is owned by... oh god, how am I going to pronounce that? Oetsu Nimaya, whatever, the Rocker Zero Squad member. And he's also the man who gave birth and created the Zanpakuto. Oh my, that makes no sense. No, seriously, that makes no sense. I mean, I read that, and I'm like, oh shit, this guy is really big. I mean, we haven't seen him talk yet or anything, so that's really cool. Next chapter, we're going to find more about him, but after thinking about it for, like, not even that long, like an extra 30, 40 seconds, I'm just like, that really makes no sense, because, think about it, I mean, Zanpakuto from what we've seen so far, I mean, it wasn't expressly stated, we haven't expressly seen this yet, but from what we've understood, when a Shinigami is born, the Zanpakuto manifests with them, or it manifests with their spirit energy. Like, they have to get, like, take Toshiro's case, for example, because Toshiro was probably the very first, like the Shinigami we saw evolve their powers the most when they were younger. So Toshiro kind of always was connected to Hyorimaru. Like, even before he had his sword, he could hear Hyorimaru's voice. And I'm assuming that after he heard Hyorimaru enough and he could understand him, the Zanpakuto just, you know, appeared in front of him as like a manifestation of Hyorimaru. So it doesn't seem like something like, if the Rocker Zero Squad member, I'll remember his name eventually, if he just created the Zanpakuto one day, how did he make it so that every Shinigami just gets one at birth? I mean, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have to go down to the Soul Society every time somebody becomes a Shinigami. He's like, oh, here's your Zanpakuto, here's your Zanpakuto, here's your Zanpakuto. Okay, everybody's good? Okay, heading back up to Soul Palace. I mean, I don't think, like there has to be some kind of, like, thing there. Like, maybe, like, the spirits were in a different dimension and he just brought down the wall to that dimension and they just came into, you know, the Soul Society. I mean, there has to be some kind of thing involving the spirits here, because Zanpakutos are living things. He's essentially taking credit, I mean, this guy's essentially taking credit for creating a living thing. So, just a little bit skeptical here, but I'm sure that's what Kubo wanted us to be, because, you know, creating the Zanpakuto is obviously a huge historical thing in the Soul Society. I understand why he's in the Zero Squad. My tie is still undone. But, yeah, I understand why he's in there. I'm just a little bit confused, but I'm sure Kubo will explain this later on. And I'm sure Ichigo next chapter is even going to be a little bit confused by this. Like, Ichigo and Renji both. They're probably just going to be like, what? You know, Zanpakuto was... What? Zangetsu, did you know about this? I mean, you never talked about your parents before, but I was just assuming, you know, they were drunks or something, you know? I never really went into it that much. You know, essentially, I guess that's all it's going to be. But, yeah, that's Bleach chapter number 521. Not a lot of huge stuff happened in this chapter. Of course, the main points are that Kirio's, you know, true form, or form from 100 years ago, formed from 100 years ago. Yeah, she's Mosquito from Soul Eater. But yeah, so big thing with Kirio, big revelation is how exactly you become a member of the Zero Squad. The only member left that we haven't seen yet is like Osho, like what his ability is or what his, you know, point is, and you know, the revelation of the rocker guy, which is Ometsu Nuimaya. Nuimaya? I'll remember it in the next week. I don't know for sure, guys, but I'm pretty sure that next week, because it's Christmas and everything, I'm pretty sure the chapter's not going to be released next week, so that's why I wanted to really get this out as early as possible. So, thanks for everybody watching my video. I really don't know when the next video is going to be. I'd say January, I guess, because remember last year we had this big, you know, this big lull here, but I'm pretty sure there's not going to be one next week. So, everybody, thanks. Tekking101, signing out, guys. See ya. I'm gonna go and just say I can't. Okay, I'm just screwing with you again. Oh, Rukia fell down. Damn it. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Okay. Alright, we're good.